Hello everyone, Prime here, and today it's Athena's turn. We'll be going over her story, some facts about her, myths, relationships, and all of that good jazz. So, unlike Artemis, who loved the great outdoors, Athena was more of a settled goddess, preferring to spend her time in urban environments. Athena was usually found fully clad in armor with a golden helmet, because style's important. She was noticeably tall and slim, with bluey-green eyes. She can also be identified with the Aegis, a goat-skinned shield which had Medusa's head attached to it, in order to scare away enemies. Athena's wisdom has aided heroes like Perseus, Theseus, and Hercules in their times of need, be that through a gift or an object that might have helped them greatly, greater insight of knowledge as to how they're supposed to defeat their foe, as in Hercules' case. But usually it's wisdom to defeat one's foe. Athena, or Athene, was a deity of war, handicraft, the protector of the city, and a goddess of reason. In Roman mythology, she was Minerva. Her being a goddess of reason is quite interesting considering what she did to Arachne, Medusa, her role to play in the Trojan War, and of course the story that I'm going to tell you in a second. She stood among the ranks of some of the most powerful female goddesses, and as a palace deity, she could not be violated. In fact, her and Artemis are the only two examples of gods in Smite that I can currently think of, or at least the only two examples of Greek and Roman gods that remained virgins in Smite. Athena was also not one to go lightly on punishment. Just ask Arachne or Medusa, but I've already told you about that. So, in an attempt to try and redeem Athena here, which is admittedly a bit difficult to do, but I'm going to try with this story of hubris. May or may not make it worse, but we'll try. Meropis, Vissa, and Agron, or Argon, I'm not sure if it's Agron or Argon or if I'm saying any of those names correctly, but I'm sure you'll correct me down in the comments section below, lived with their father, Eumelus, on the island Kos. The family openly disregarded the gods. They refused their chances to worship Athena because Meropis' eyes were rather dark and fair like an owl's. Artemis they refused because Argon loathed deities that took casual strolls through forests at night, and Hermes because he was a known thief and the family just didn't want to support or respect a thief. They did, however, worship Hester because she gave them good harvests. As you can imagine, there was a bit of jelly in the air, and so Athena and Artemis transformed into beautiful women, whilst Hermes morphed himself into a shepherd. They invited the family out for a bit. The girls went with Athena and Artemis, and the boys went with Hermes. The family became frustrated in their own ways once they found out what was going on here, and soon enough they were all transformed into different types of birds. The father was transformed into a raven, cursed to only announce bad news. Meropis was transformed into an because of the whole owl eye thing. It's supposed to be some sort of sick, twisted irony, but there you go. Vissa became a seagull, and Agron became a Charadurus after he tried to stab Hermes with some sort of sharp object. Zeus placed both Ares and Athena in charge of war, but where Ares represented pure bloodlust, Athena showcased intelligence, justice, and skill. During one of the battles of Troy, Athena actually managed to wound Ares quite badly. She literally impaled him through the chest with a spear, and the only logical explanation for Ares surviving this is because he's a god. Though Ares did cry out in pain and retreated to tend to his wounds. And it's funny because that war particularly was actually started in part thanks to Athena. There was a contest going on in Olympus during a bit of a party that the Olympian gods were throwing as to who deserved to be the fairest and most beautiful goddess of them all, and three goddesses kind of propped up. You have Aphrodite, Athena, and you have Hera. They all went to Zeus to decide, and Zeus knew that it would have been the worst idea in the world to try and get into the middle of that argument. So he was all, mortals are pretty good at deciding this kind of thing. They could choose better than any one of us gods ever could. So, three goddesses went to Paris on Earth. And by Paris, I mean a guy named Paris. Now, all the female deities realized that the competition was pretty steep, so they tried to sway Paris's mind in each one of their favors by offering him a bit of a gift. Both Athena and Hera offered victory on the battlefield. Athena specifically offered victory against Paris's enemies, whereas Hera offered easy conquest across the entirety of Europe. But Aphrodite knew what Paris really wanted and offered him the most beautiful person in the world. Thanks to this, Paris chose Aphrodite as the most beautiful goddess, and Athena, as well as Hera, were quite jelly. So this was the start of a war, and Athena and Hera took sides, which included the gods in the conflict. So, a lot of humans and people died. Pretty important heroes, like Achilles, for example. He died in this battle, which is unfortunate. But that's enough of me getting sidetracked. If you want me to cover the events of the Trojan War, I can most certainly do that in a video. But before I keep talking on about this subject, now we talk about the contest between Poseidon and Athena. King, and I'm sorry, like the previous people from the previous story, I forgot to look up this person's name. I do apologize, but King Cecrops, a half-man, half-snake being, wanted a patron deity for his city. Poseidon was very interested in this position, but so was Athena, and the two presented magnificent gifts before the king. Poseidon took his trident and struck the earth with it, erecting a stream of water. Unfortunately, this water was salt water and was useless for drinking, so it was only useful for looking at. Not very good for the people or the king. Athena, on the other hand, also struck the earth, but then planted a branch in the new gap. The branch eventually grew into an olive tree, and the olive tree represented peace and well-being, so Athena won. The city was then named the City of Athens after Athena, and Poseidon was very, very salty about this, and placed a curse on the city, which led to terrible, terrible water shortages, which are apparently still present today. Now for the last myth, we're going to talk about Athena's birth. And there are two common myths surrounding Athena's birth. One is significantly more lengthy than the other one, so we'll go with that one first. This one features another great chase by the mighty chaser, Zeus, and it shows his adventures with the goddess of good counsel, Metis. Just like Nemesis, she shifted her shape various times in her attempts to avoid Zeus. She would become hawks, fish, and serpents. But Zeus, as we all know, was very persistent, and as you might have guessed, Zeus got what he wanted. After this time, though, one of Gaia, or Gaia's, oracles, foretold that one of Metis's children, a girl, who would later become Athena, and a boy, who never got a chance to be born. These children were said to eventually take the throne away from Zeus Juice, and Zeus Juice didn't like it. So he seduced Metis with flattery, and then, whilst her guard was down, chomped her up, a bit similar to how Kronos liked to chomp his children. After the death of Metis, Zeus experienced excruciating headaches, and his screams of torment echoed across the earth. The gods from all over Olympus came to Zeus's aid to find out what was wrong and to solve his problem. Hermes knew exactly what the problem was and instructed Vulcan, I'm forgetting his Greek name, he does have a Greek name, it doesn't come to mind right now, Vulcan, to smash open the skull of Zeus. And when he did, out sprung Athena, fully clad in armor, as an adult woman, and became the goddess of wisdom and intelligence, just like that. The other version of this story cuts out Zeus's adventures and says that Athena was created without a woman's touch, which is quite interesting to know. I'm not sure if Zeus's skull was still split open in the birth ceremony, birth process, I guess I should call it, but there you go. Well, that's all I have for you about Athena. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, and next up, coming very, very soon, should be Nox, followed by, I believe, either Ares or Erlongshen, not sure. But I've got tons of requests for lore videos right now, and the list is fairly long, so I'm gonna get those videos wrapped up for you before I start taking requests again. If you're new to the channel, have a look around. I've already done quite a few gods lore up until this point, so you should be able to find at least one god that you're interested in. And until the very next video, have a good day. I've been Prime, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.